In this video, we're going to set up the top shirt for simulation. Again, I took the liberty of copying over our default stack over here, and I cleaned up some nodes and put some nice colors in here based on what the sim meshes look like, the yellow, the purple, and the brown. So we're going to go over here and start with our setup. Let's go ahead and connect this up. The attribute paint, we're going to delete, as always. Add in a new attribute paint node. The top shirt cuts, we're going to go inside here. We're not going to use any of these because these are from the shirt, so we'll put a null. So we can read the content, and then we're going to blow away all of this stuff and start fresh. So I'm going to go ahead and cut some of these edges here real quick to create a one-sided mesh based on our technique before. So I'm just going to speed through this a little bit here. Okay, I'm finished here. One thing I didn't think I mentioned is I like to keep the top, the outermost mesh, because it's easy to paint on in 3D because you have to paint all of these. On the two-sided mesh, you have to paint all your attributes. Also, I've added this little peak node, so we can end up getting the mesh on the inside the center of the mesh. You want to be as close as possible to the center of the mesh, so the peak node is just slightly off by a small amount, so that our one-sided mesh is on the inside of our two-sided mesh. Okay, this looks pretty good so far. Looks like we have some self-penetration here that we didn't see before, so let's go upstairs, or up one level here, and we'll fix that. What I want to do is just create a temporary soft transform where I can kind of lift this lapel up so I can get under there and select some edge loops. So let's go ahead and do that real quick here. So I'm just going to S3, I'm just going to select, yeah, that's actually a good loop right there. Control-Shift-2, and then I'm just going to tab, create a group out of that. I'll just call that the lapel group. And what am I going to use with that? Well, I'm going to use that to lift up. And so I'm going to put a soft transform. All right, and I'm going to plop it in there. I'm going to pull the lapel group, and then I'm just going to check it out, and I'm just going to lift it up in Y. And it's going to be messy, but it's okay. Let's just see what this looks like. Whoa, it's a little high. Let's go down to like 0.2. That's good, and then let's just drop the fall off here. So there we go. So we just want to be able to get under the lapel. It's sloppy, but it's doable here. And I can see that this part of the lapel is kind of chunky, kind of fat. So I can see where the area is that's kind of self-penetrating right in that area right there. With this selected, I'm gonna grab a bunch of faces right here, just like where I suspect that issue is. I'm just gonna grow the selection here a little bit. Create another group. So just say smooth lapel. We'll call smooth lapel. Smooth lapel. I'll just drag everything down here, and I'll just do a smooth node, and I will smooth only smooth lapel, that area right there. Now let's turn off the transform. Seems like I got in there pretty good. Let's take a look at what our single-sided mesh looks like. Okay, it looks okay. Now let's just start upping the smooth value here. So I'll just up it, and you can see that it slowly starts to disappear here. So let's go to like 100. That's pretty good. Let's go to 200. Let's get crazy. Okay, so the self-penetration disappears. This actually looks pretty good, so we can go with this for now. So let's take a look at what our remesh looks like. Okay, this is our default remesh. There's some issues with this. First of all, it's not good enough resolution, so we'll do 0.6. In my testing, I liked 0.6. Also, there's a lot of jaggy lapel action right here. I don't really like jaggy lapels. And I'm using the underside and inside mesh. I can create a new group called hard edges. So I'll create a hard edges group. In order to do that, I'm going to go ahead and lift this up again. So we're going to go right up here. This is the smooth lapel. Let's turn this on. And under this group right here, tab group, we'll create a group, and we will call it hard edges. I really hate that edges. And this will be edges. And we'll select some edges here. So I can see based on the bend right here that this is generally where they are. I'm just going to select about 3 or 4 loops just to see what I get. Cool. Let's just pick those loops right now and see what we need. Okay, I'm going to turn off my smooth transform. It doesn't look like it reaches the crest. So it looks like we need to get these 2 edges over here as well. Maybe it does. I don't know. It's underneath. Let's just remesh and see what we get. If we need to increase it, we will. So let's go and remesh. Okay, now let's go ahead and add the hard edges group just to see what the results we get. So we're a few off. We have some good, you can see where we have selected lines. We maybe need to go up 1 or 2 more underneath this side. How does it look over here? Now the side lapels look that lapel looks okay, and the side lapels look okay, but it's the back neck that doesn't look okay. So we'll go ahead and turn on our transform again, pick our hard edges, and we needed to pick, I think if you, here's where the crest is, you can definitely see that. So let's add a few more edges here. These guys right here are probably the good ones. Let's add a few rings here and maybe deselect these bottom ones. We don't really probably need those. Let's check. So let's try again. Turn off soft transform. Scroll down to remesh. Take a look at it and see what we get. Looks what I did. It looks like I took away some of the lapel on the underside here. Now that I've got the neck working. Okay, so let's go ahead and add those back. So soft transform, hard edges. Select a few lines here. Return those lapels back. Maybe deselect that one. Let's see, maybe deselect this one down here. Okay, that looks good. So this looks like this follows the crest all the way through. Let's add this one, just one more. Nope, not that one. So I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to turn off soft transform and take one more look here. There we go. Now it looks pretty good. I do see a lot of small triangles here and some bigger triangles here. If we up our iterations here, let's go to 5. Oh yeah, that looks way better. Much more evenly spaced, and our lapels still look good. Okay, so we've got our polydoctor node. Now let's go and check out this node. So this is not the undershirt. This is referred to as the top shirt in the model. So we're going to call it top shirt. And top shirt here. Okay, let's pick a quick color. I have a color in mind from my other file, so I'm just going to paste that in. It's like a mustard color. Let's adjust our collision group settings. This is misspelled anyway. Let's delete that. Now I'm going to paste in what I think should be here. Okay, I'm going to paint an attribute called sword ignore on the left arm of the body here. And that is because the left arm does penetrate the sword, as we saw in frame 1061. We want the lower part of the forearm to not collide with the sword, but the upper arm and the chest we do want to collide, so in the squat position we do get some nice room and push in there for the jacket to exist. And to give you further illustration, while I was simming this, this is the kind of results I got when I hit that famous frame 1061. This thing pulled out and drug it all the way across and made a real huge stink out of that, and it left a little dimple here. It took a while for that to sim back into space. What we're going to do first is we're going to paint an attribute, and we're going to call that sword ignore. So we're going to go up to our attributes, and we're going to just paint the left arm, and I will do sword ignore. I want to keep this because when they squat down, the upper arm actually collides with the sword here. So I just want this area right here. Just want this area right here. And if we need to adjust that, we will per shot. If we need to, we can do it per shot. Okay, so this looks pretty good. This will work. Okay, we have our sim mesh set up now. Let's go ahead and talk about the behavior. So there are some buttons and latches holding this sim mesh together here. I've created a little node here so we can see. So there's these loops and there's these buttons, and where they're attached, we want to keep the jacket kind of stitched together. We're going to use the vellum stitch control to stitch this together so that they stay together. So we're going to paint two attributes, one on the left side, one on the right. It's going to be top shirt left stitch and top shirt right stitch. Let's go ahead and paint those now. Okay, let's paint these attributes. I'm going to leave this visible so I know where the latch points are going to be, and let's go ahead and pick our attribute. Let's go ahead and add two attributes here. Okay, let's go ahead and paint the left side first, and we'll pick a brush here, and let's just mask off this side by picking a few points and then growing the selection. And then we're only allowed to paint in these points right here, so let's just rapidly whip those out real quick. Okay, that's good. Alright, let's switch to the other side. Let's pick some points on the other side, then we'll just grow that selection as well. And then just paint on the right side real quick here. Okay. Okay, now that we have our nodes painted, let's go ahead and see what they might look like in a vellum node. So let's blow away this old stuff here, and let's drop a new vellum cloth configure, followed by a vellum constraint node. Let's line these up here, and let's hook them up. Okay, hook up all the nodes. Okay, then we'll switch the vellum constraint to a stitch points node, and then we'll edit the point values. For the source points, we'll do top shirt underscore left stitch is greater than 0.5. And then for the target, we will do at top shirt right underscore stitch is greater than 0.5. Okay, there we go. So it is creating the stitch points. While we're at it, let's go ahead and create the other node. So let's drop a vellum solver down and a vellum IO node. Let's rename the vellum IO. Vellum IO underscore top shirt, hook everything up here. Let's create a vellum pack node and pull the outputs from the vellum stitch constraint. Create a null, call it out top shirt, color it black, hook everything up here. Let's grab that string from the other vellum IO node and paste it in here, and we will change boots to top shirt and change version 1 to version 5. And then hook up our collision object. Okay, let's change the end frame, Alt E to render frame end, RFEND, and we'll accept that. Okay, on the solver, let's go ahead and set the solver to 5 substeps and 200 constraint iterations. That way we can actually see if these springs work. And we will send it to simulate in the background while we set up our buttons and our loops. Okay, the results are in. Let's go ahead and take a look at this. It's not too bad. It's a little stretchy, but a little rubbery around these areas where the high velocity, like this, looks pretty stretchy to me. And there's also this spiky part right here where the hand is getting pulled into the body right around here. You can kind of see the spike. I'm not going to worry about this because we're going to do some improved collision iterations and improved substep values on our final sim, so I'm not going to worry about this right now. This is just to make sure that everything's working. Okay, great. So let's move on to the next topic.